I like that hook. Brandy is like everything, right?
That's her new song, right?
No, that's an old one.
Is it?
No, it's new.
No, that's a new
That's
song.
a new one.
From this year.
No, because...
It's new.
Oh, yeah, it is. What am I the one I'm thinking of, the Baby Mama Drama episode we did? Okay.
This goes out to all my baby mama.
Oh, yeah. So
that's a different
okay,
song.
Yeah.
That's not
see?
Brandy.
Age. But how y'all doing? What's up, guys? What's everybody? Hey, Perfectly Incomplete Podcast is in the building. Say hi, everybody.
Hey.
How you doing? Thank y'all for joining us. I'm Imogene. Y'all know me. I host. I've got Trama. This is the host with the most. And we got a special guest. We've got a Miss Terri Gittens, who happens to be Trama's mama. Say what's up, ladies.
Hello.
Isn't she beautiful?
Hi, everybody.
So today is like a really special episode. Today is, first of all, thank y'all for being here. And because, y'all that are here, appreciate
Thank you for having me.
Y'all roll with us. And I really appreciate that,
me.
right? So today's conversation is we're going to take the Perfectly Incomplete podcast to a whole nother level where it needs to be about real raw issues. We try to do trendy stuff, but today we're going to get into something like really the heart of the matter. So, thanks to Miss Terri, because she, just to say how we got here, we did a photo shoot like 2 weeks ago, and Terri came on scene, and she was really engaging in real life stuff, and some stuff was going on, and she came down in the studio, and we were talking, so she shared some things, but I kind of felt that. And she said a few things, and we said, oh yeah, we got to talk about that. So I really appreciate you, and we're going to unfold this. But before we get into this, y'all, let's, last time we left, I was like, oh, I can't do it with the Breonna Taylor thing.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot.
And for me, what I say I have to do, and I've had, because it's been a stressful week and I've been really overwhelmed. People, places, and things, by far, people have been the most challenging, right? Yeah. And so I've been trying to maintain my mental health and stability. So for me, with Breonna and everything else that's going on, we can get so engaged that we're just frazzled. I'm trying to stay in the place where I'm grounded in my faith. And I gotta be there, because if I don't, I'm all over the place. So, what I will say with Breonna Taylor, needless to say, there's process and content issues. Lies. No indictment for her murder, but you indict for the neighbor. So all of that kind of stuff. I'm just going to say, I'm just believing that in the end, justice will be served. And I'm just going to leave it like that. It's a lot of people doing everything they can do. They're trying to corroborate their lies. And they're doing this, so many inconsistencies. At the end of the day, to keep myself peaceful and healthy, I'm just believing for justice.
Right, I agree.
Yeah,
it's hard. It's difficult to watching everything in the news, what you don't know, what's lies, what's social media lies. It's just a lot to take in, and then just it being not fair and not the justice that she deserved as a human being.
Right.
Is just it's very hurtful and just touches you, because that could be anybody. That could have been me. That could have been anybody, any one of my friends, anyone that I know who's a working mother.
Yeah.
It was very hurtful that it's just that she didn't get the justice that she deserved.
She didn't, but I believe it's going to come. And I want to say, I don't know if you all watched the vice presidential debate last week, but I watched it, and Breonna Taylor came up, and I'm not going to get into the political rigmarole, because that's what it is. But I will say, as far as Breonna, when the question was asked by the moderator to the vice president, that if he felt that justice was being served in the Breonna Taylor case, and he said, I trust the justice system. And that, for me, it just hurt it. It really hurt it, because I'm pretty sure he's aware of it, but just looking at this man, he wasn't moved by it. And he went on to focus on riots and all of that. All of this is just to say, it just bothered me. And his behavior and his response just reaffirmed that, from his perspective, Black lives do not matter. And that really bothered me a lot. And I'm like, okay, this is, at least we know where you're coming from. But Kamala Harris, I just want to say I am so moved, and I have so much admiration for her. Because she debunked the stereotype of the angry Black woman. She handled herself very gracefully. She was assertive. She didn't feed into it. She was very dignified. And in my opinion, she didn't make him look stupid. He did it himself.
Yeah.
And she did a very good job. And I could just feel her compassion with Brianna. I could see her pain. And I just really appreciate her so much. So, I'll leave it at that. As far as these other leaders or other people who have hate or that don't see us, I got to keep myself at the end of the day. God is in control, and that's where I got to stay.
Exactly.
She definitely outclassed him. Like, she had every reason to.
She's just a classy lady.
Yeah, to be upset and agitated, and irritated. He kept cutting her off. But, when they raised the issue about Breonna Taylor, he said all that needed to be said to me. I mean, he made himself very clear, and I'm realizing that there are two types of people. There are people who agree with injustice and inequality, and then there are also people who just really don't believe that it exists. Like when he made the statement, for you and Joe Biden to suggest that there's systemic racism, that's an insult. And when he made that comment to me, I couldn't do nothing but shake my head. I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was seeing something on Facebook where Meghan, Prince Henry, and his wife, Meghan, someone posed a question to him about the Breonna case. And he said very clearly he wasn't aware of the systemic racism in the world. He didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, because he's privileged.
Right. But what he did say very clearly, sent a message on Facebook. He said, this land, meaning the United States, because they live in California, I believe, was made for white people, and the laws were made for white people. So to bring that full circle, that's why they don't know how to give us justice, because we were never included in the system. When they did put the rules and regulations together, we weren't even a thought. So when we come before them, they don't know what to do with us. They don't know how to show us the same justice that they do their own kind.
And I agree. And that goes back, and we all know that goes back to slavery, whereas Black people were an economic means to an end.
Right.
And to say, Alex, to respond to you when you say, when Mr. Pence made his statement and that he doesn't have a clue, and that's where the compassion has to go out. Even though there's racism and there's hatred, there is a group of people that are of non-color that really are ignorant. They don't see it.
Right.
And you have to give them compassion, and depending on what cohort, their age, if you're 80 and 90 years old, you probably grew up in a generation where it was still like it was, with colored people and Black, and, or if you lived in a town where there were no Black people.
Right.
And you got to realize when you're born into privilege, this has been the status quo all the time. You won't see it. For them, they get a pass. But then there are others, when you articulate it and explain, like I was in an online conference for the last 3 days with the Alliance for Nonprofit Management. They try to build capacity for nonprofits to help them through these changing times. And although they meant well, and I was glad to be there, I got so much insight. There were a lot of people, advocates of non-color. They really didn't have a clue, just the things they were talking about. It was so traumatic for me, even though they wanted to help. The language, like one lady made a statement when we were saying about partnerships and how do you try to get the funders and the board of directors to see this or to say this. And one young lady made this statement. She said, well, I feel like white people, you need a white person to do it because white people listen to white people and white people don't listen to Black people. And although she was very true, that was true. I didn't get offended. I just pointed out to her. I said, this is traumatic. Even though this is a conference, when you make statements like this, it just reaffirms the position of African Americans.
Right.
And so some people don't get it. Some people do get it. And that's why I say all we can do, a lot of people are fighting for a big move. We have to work on ourselves on an individual level.
First.
And that's kind of where I am.
Day by day.
Yeah. So shouts out to Kamala Harris and just my faith. I got to ride out my faith as far as, we live in a crazy world with a lot of stuff going on. But we got to stay grounded if we're going to survive because mental health is like a lot. We want to stay well. And speaking of which, it's Emotional Wellness Month. So that's what we need to focus on.
Emotions.
But with that, I want to shift the conversation over to Terri because she has some rich things she wants to talk about it, and I think now is the time to get right into it. So you got it, Mama.
All right, I'm on the floor here.
You got it.
You got it, girl. You got it.
Where do you begin? I think that for decades, African American people have held the flag up to say, we were impacted in our bodies, but you couldn't take my mind. And anytime we would even question the mentality of a family member or, someone that we work with that was African American, oh, he's just crazy, or that's just the way she is. No, there's issues that we need to address. We need to be healthy. We need to face the issues, forgive the issues, and then forget the issues.
Okay. But so everybody, and I'm following you because I kind of know where you're going, but
Right.
just to include everybody because people listening may not know what you're talking about.
Okay.
So can you set the backdrop of what are the issues? What is it? Like you're saying, I think I hear you saying when we're calling each other crazy, there's a lot that's gone on behind the scene with us because there's a reason for everybody's behavior.
Right.
So if you could just fill it in.
Right. Well, I think as a people, we have a tendency not to want to deal with our mental health. Bottom line, we have covered up and made excuses for our behaviors far too long. It stems from slavery days. It is with us in 2020. We need to be able to say, yes, we have issues. Yes, we need help. We need to reach out. That's what this podcast is about, bringing to the forefront the issues that we want to keep behind closed doors. If we continue to do that, we will never heal. We will always be in a post-slavery situation with family, education, behaviors, how we respect one another.
That's deep. That's huge right there.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. How men and women relate to one another. As a person who has done Black history through the years, I've weeded through books and saw pictures, and we did what we had to do to survive the horrendous lives we had. And then when we were freed, we continued to do what we had to do. And a lot of the roles were shifted. A lot of the things that we did while we were enslaved, we carried on because we didn't have any other examples.
Right.
Well, we have examples now. And,
Yes, we do.
And I'm following you.
Yes, we do.
Yes,
we do.
I'm trying to chill because I'm trying to get the nuggets and see where it's going.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we do. But we have to be honest with ourselves. There's an old saying, to by thine own self be true. If we as a people don't start admitting that, yes, I have some issues and I need help. I can't drink it away. I can't drug it away. I can't beat up people away.
Right.
We need help. We've come a long way. We're a strong, resilient people.
So let's get into the we need help part.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your take on it? I want to hear your response, your perspective to what she's saying.
Well, my perspective is that being a daughter of an African-American mother, that certain things that you held a standard to has caused pain to me because there's things that that I wasn't allowed to do because I'm Black or because I'm a female or because of this. But then I have my brothers that get to do, he can go hang out with this person and he can go here and he can go there, but I can't because I have to stay in the house. I have to be here. I have to be, and that it changes a woman, a female, a girl. It changes you when you keep them so closed in because they want to explore and do the things, but you try to keep them in that space because of what you've learned from your own mother-daughter relationships.
That's deep. And can I just jump in here? I'm just filling in the dots. And I hear what you're saying. And I hear what Terri's saying. A lot of our mental issues are coming from history
Yes.
and, the effects of oppression and prejudice and discrimination. We already know that it alters our DNA.
Yeah.
And to connect what you're saying, women are the gateway to life. We give birth.
Yeah.
And so the most important, and I've been doing a lot of reading studies and just stuff we know, but to just see it from the scholars, because it seems like we can know stuff from experience, but sometimes people don't validate it because we're not a scholar. And then everything they've been doing, watching our behaviors, and then they write these papers and they get rich off of stuff we already knew.
Right.
But all of this is to say, the most important relationship is between a mother and a daughter. And that dynamic sets the stage for how a daughter will relate to other people, her kids, her daughter.
Right.
And in the case of African American, it is some unique dynamic. So I wanted to just set the stage for what Terri is saying and for what you're saying, Trama, because she's saying the big picture and you're breaking it down specifically. And so.
Well, some of the dynamics that she's talking about, I admit straight up, yes, I did, because I didn't have much guidance as to being a parent. And the things that I kept you from was out of love.
Right.
And I did not know at the time that it was going to damage our relationship. And I think a lot of mothers do things to protect their children and not realize in the process they are destroying the very thing that they're trying to protect.
Yeah.
Agree.
And if you're so busy, at least for me, I can only speak for myself. I was a single mom. I had my kids, I had his kids, and I had our kids. And I was the only one bringing in the money, disciplining, feeding, attending whatever I could, stretching myself. And I missed a lot, but I also gave a lot. And giving you what little my mother gave me, but the little that she gave me was now that she's 98 and I see her in a wheelchair.
Right.
I realized that she gave me something, and without knowing it, you have the same thing. The good and the bad.
Of what my grandmother is.
Yes. And it's sustainable. It might not be the best, but it will keep you alive. It will keep a roof over your head, and you'll be able to have your children as safe as possible. It might not be pleasant all the time, but the things that she did give me, because she didn't have any examples. It was like, we can go back in my family 7 generations on my mother's side. My great-great-grandmother was a slave here.
Right.
Born in Hurley, New York. So what I knew my great-grandmother, not my great-great, her mother, but her name was Jenny Cantine. And if you know anything about the area, the Cantine family were very wealthy. That's why you got Cantine Field out there, because they had a lot of property. And my great-grandmother, Jenny Cantine, was under them.
And I get it. I get it. And I'm just trying to chill because, and I hear what you're saying. Call me the devil's advocate. I'm trying to learn and progress. And I get it.
Right.
Like, especially African Americans, especially women, we came out of slavery. And then if you looked at it, we were considered property, economic means. Women were considered more valuable because they had babies. And so therefore their owner, not only do I have the mama, she works hard, but she has kids, right? So I see the economic side of it. And then we progress out of physical slavery, but then the mindset that women are strong women, so we're instilling values in our kids, but in a sense, sometimes it's conflicting because we know operating in a bigger society, there's racism, there's discrimination. And so we operate, I think African-American parents, we operate like what our kids should do, how they should be.
How respectful we should be, because is different. We have to respect our parents differently, and they want a certain type of respect. But if I don't give it the way she sees it,
I get it.
I'm not respectful.
I get it. Ooh, Wait a minute. Let me get my turn. Let me get my turn. And I agree with you. I have to own this because my sons have been helping me lately the way I've been brought up. Like I was just taught, well, you respect your mother. You know, I said this and I was coming out with my kids like that and it wasn't effective, you know, because they're human beings too. And what worked 30 years ago, you know, we had this thing, okay, I'm your mother. I birthed you. So, of course, a mother has a attachment with their son or daughter, especially daughters, because that's the most significant relationship. But yeah, because that baby is depending upon the mother for everything. And in this Western world perspective and the mindset we had, I had you, I brought you into the world. And then I had my son say, well, look, I didn't ask to be born. And when I think about that, that is true. Nobody asked to come on scene. And where I am now, I don't think just because a mother gave birth to a child gives them a right to dismiss that child, to think their word is law. And I'm learning this, and I still have conflicts with my sons, but I'm open for it because I need to respect my son.
Right.
I need to listen to what he says too. It's not like you do this because I said it, but I think just that from generation to generation,
it's been that way.
It creates all kind of feelings in us, and it causes problems. So,
it does.
Yeah.
During the time that I was doing research, there was a movement in the white community where, you know, back in the 30s and 40s and some 50s, where, you know, father was disciplinarian, you couldn't do certain things, everything was X, Y, and Z. And then some psychologist came along and said, no, a child should have more input and have more say, and you should reward them for their good behavior, not demand that they have good behavior because you said so. So what I'm saying is that even though we didn't realize it, we were taking patterns because we had no other culture to say, this is how you nurture your daughter. This is how you do your son. So we kind of continued that same flow of parenting without knowing it. For me, I wouldn't say I'm bicultural. My mother is African-American, my father's Caribbean from Barbados. So there's something in me that is still do it this way.
No, it's always like that. It's always like that.
I know, but I didn't know where it was coming from.
But it's always like that.
I know, but I did not understand where it was coming from. I just flowed with it. And the rung of the ladder that I came on, that I was birthed into, it wasn't here. It wasn't up here. It was here. And all I saw was better yourself. Go higher.
But I feel like you, as your daughter, I don't think you let me better myself because you didn't want me to be like away from everything. Me being your only daughter, I have your grandkids. So it's like, I know you don't want to be around them, but I feel like you kind of enabled me to stay here instead of push me further to be a successful person. It was always, you could marry, I'm raising you to marry a doctor, a lawyer, Indian chief, instead of let my daughter, she could be a doctor, she could be a lawyer, she could do this, she can do that. You did the boys, but when it came to me, it was like you wanted to keep me close.
That's all I knew. That's all I knew to do. Let me say something to you. Your grandmother was so oppressed by her mother, by her grandmother, by her uncles. She's a phenomenal woman. And she's lived 98 years to want to come out.
But that's all she knew.
But what I'm saying is that oppressiveness and, you got to keep the girls close, but the boys can run. That has been in many families.
And that's why it's an issue for me because I'm not like that. I don't want to be like that. And you tried to raise me like that.
Because
and you try to make me raise my girls like that.
Please let her speak.
Okay. You know what I mean? Like, I want my girls to be doctors or lawyers or Indian chief, whatever they want to do. Mm-hmm. There's no stigma about I know because we have an age gap, it's different. You don't see what I see because I'm younger than you and you're much older than me. So you're only going to go by what you know as a mom. But it's like, sometimes it's hard to talk to you because not now, we've been through our own stuff and we kind of worked everything out. But before it was very hard for her to listen and hear that she's hurting me emotionally and like mentally, because it's like, I want to be more open with her. Cause like, I'll always hear, I'm not your friend, I'm your mom. I'm not your friend, I'm not your friend, I'm not your friend. And then it gets to the point where I grow up and become an adult. And then now she wants to be my friend. So it's like, you gotta like figure out the line of being a daughter or being a friend. Cause when my friends, I talk to her crazy and she thinks that I'm being disrespectful, but it's like, that's how I talk to my friends. You know what I mean?
I get it.
So
and
it's like,
I'm guilty. I'm guilty there. And so I just want to acknowledge everything you're saying.
Yeah.
Because I've heard before. And I think we can, so we don't have to hash that out. It's like we emulate what we grew up with, what we've seen our parents, and that's our role model.
Right.
And so, you know, we extend the compassion, and like, I hear your mom saying, this is what I saw. This is how I was raised. And granted, that level, you know, she's giving you that insight to understand. And I don't think you want to hurt. I know I didn't want to hurt, but I can say, I done the same thing.
Right.
Like when I hear like how my sons talk, and I'm like, you're not going to be talking to me like that.
Right.
And then they'll say, well, I'm a person. You can't be treating me like this. And then I had to think about this.
Yeah, you know, to step back and regroup. Yeah.
And it hurt me when they told me that, but it was truth. And I'm looking at how I'm dealing with them, but I'm looking at the dynamics of the relationship too. If I say I love my sons, you know, and I want relationship with them, and why aren't you telling me things, but you go tell other people stuff? And then when they're saying to me, well, Mom, because you don't listen, because you don't listen to me, Mom.
Yes.
And you're not emotionally supportive, because I was so stuck in my rigid, and I'm not saying I'm all the way there,
Right.
but I am open. I try, I goof, but I can say that I'm sorry.
Right.
I can learn from my adult sons, you know? And so I think it's great that you all are working through it, and I appreciate you saying that, but I felt that.
Yeah, because it as like growing up as a young girl, like she was working a lot. So it's like there was a lot of things that I really didn't know. And then having children at a young age, it was more stuff that I really didn't know. And it was kind of just like, give me the baby, I'll do it myself, instead of teaching me.
Yeah.
And like for a long time, I held a grudge against her because like I didn't know how to bathe my son like properly, like what you do with an actual baby. And for like 13 years, I held a grudge against her because I thought that moment, that was a bonding moment for me and my son. And when I asked for help, she just did it herself. And then her I thought was an excuse was, that's my first grandbaby, and I just wanted to bathe him because, you know, I just wanted to get to him. But for me, it was like, you're overstepping the boundaries of a parent, because I'm a parent now. Right. So now you not giving me the respect after I asked you for help. So it was like for a long time, me and her got into that because it was like, I feel like you're not treating me like an adult and I have this child and you just taking over. But that it was more of, I had to think about, okay, my mom's from a different like generation, and a lot of young girls don't have babies out of wedlock. So it's like, if they do, the grandmother's always taking care of them. So I was like, that one, I'm going to show her, I'm going to take care of this baby by myself.
Right. Oh, she was determined.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. But what was also operating in our relationship that I didn't even see was something that my grandmother did with my mother.
It's been passed down, our generational curse of...
My aunts, my grandmother's sisters, they ran off they had sons. They ran off all the women and raised the kids. It was so...
Wait, I didn't understand that. Who ran off
the grandmothers.
Okay.
The mothers of the sons.
Okay.
Ran off the wives and girlfriends who have had a baby.
Wow.
And they took that child.
Wow.
And they raised that child to the place where my cousins called their grandmother Ma.
And
Not grandma.
that happened in our family as well. Like we're they're a family of all women. So it's like my mother was raised by her grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother didn't get to, she was determined to make sure that she raised us because she didn't want that cycle, but she still did it when it came to me. She tried to raise my son and I was like, no, I'm not having that.
Right.
I'm going to do this. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to show you that I'm going to do it because I'm determined to break that cycle.
She had my determination in her, and I didn't recognize it.
And I think that's great. I think that's great, Trama. And I can see where, like you and your mom, I can see the love and all of that good stuff. And
it's always there.
I can see the journey, but I feel you because I'm older than you. Me and my sister was having a conversation. We've been talking a lot lately about the same concept.
Yeah.
We've been reflecting on our parent. And for me, like my mom's been dead 20-something years.
Yeah.
I didn't have my father on scene. My extended family, I love them. I don't really like them, to be honest. It was like favoritism. It was like a lot of things that went on, right? But when I look back at my mother, I said, oh, my mother didn't protect me. I was sexually abused starting at like 4, right? And then my mother was financially and emotionally dependent on a man who was abusive, and in the house, you're seeing drinking, like lots of stuff that was going on. Yeah. But me and my sister were sharing things and we talked about it. And at first, like I love my mom, but I was angry at her. I said she didn't protect me. It's things she didn't teach me.
Yeah.
And then I said the time she should have been spending with me, she was doing something else. So, I can relate to a lot, but I just got to the point where at least I took the time to reflect and think on that.
Yeah.
And I understand the history of the of African American women. And so I have the compassion for her. And I'm like, okay, but what I love about us now, and I just appreciate you all listening and respecting. You're respecting your mother's point of view, and you're respecting her point. Because now, not just us, but it's so many African-American women, like the way we treat each other, it's not cool. We hate on each other.
Yeah.
It's bad.
We connive.
Terrible.
It's terrible.
We do underlying things to each other just because, she did that, I could do it better, but it's whack. It's whack. I feel like African-American people, brown people, any women in general, like we've been through so much as women. Like I've been through my own set of stuff that she tried to protect me from. Right. And I've been through it. So it's like she's been through husbands that have beat her and all that. And she didn't want that for me. But I went through it because I had my own journey to go through.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And so it's like, women in general, we're always, Black women, African-American women, we're like beat down by men, emotionally, mentally, physically. And then it's like, we hate on each other. And that's whack. We should always try, but life tells us that we can't like each other. And I feel like growing up in a circle of like social media, I feel like we can't be friends. Black African-American women can't be friends because that's what social media or the outline of other things, because we're angry and we're mad about stuff and all that. And it bothers me.
Mental issues.
But you know what? Mental illnesses, I know there's a stigma about mental illnesses. People and
mental health.
Yeah, mental health. And really the whole world has mental health issues.
Exactly.
Because when you're around here watching somebody that get killed or get shot, get shot up 5 times and you trust the justice system, you mentally ill. So let's just put that out there. Everybody,
that's a true statement. That's true.
Wait a minute. Wait. Let me finish this because I'll forget if I don't. So we all got mental health issues, and that's okay. Right. And there's help out here for us, but in particular, these groups that are having things a little bit rougher, people of color, and I say Black people, African American, whatever you want to call yourself. If you're Black, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Right.
Yeah, right. We got some issues, and let's try to understand where they're coming from. But we already got oppressive groups that's coming at us. And for me to be hating on you, Alex said last week on the podcast, he says, how can we say that we're for the uplifting and helping each other down, and then our actions do to the contrary?
Yeah, that's what I said.
We all can.
Oh, you chiming in?
We all can be great. I can have sympathy for you, but it's no excuse to the point where we know where we came from. You can't keep riding on that slavery mindset, okay? Because it's enough people talking about what it is.
Right.
So, like, my take is, have compassion. Like, I love you. I love you. We have the hard conversations. I ain't gonna, if I'm hating on you, it boils down to my sense of self. That's what it comes down to. But I'll take the time to see where I came from, and I'll be truthful to myself. What's really going on?
To thine own
and
self
why
be
am I,
true.
Why am I
Right.
really talking about you? Am I threatened by you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, why do I feel this way about you?
Yeah.
I wish that we would do that
Yeah.
and like have real
It
conversations.
needs
Yeah.
to be more conversations,
Right.
communication amongst women, because we're all hurting inside. We're all that little girl deep down inside. I've
Right.
been that way,
Yeah.
dealing with her and crying like I don't understand why she doesn't hear me when I'm trying to talk to her.
Does she hear you now?
She hears me now because
Well, I had
now
an
she got no
epiphany.
choice.
No,
now she got no choice.
You know what?
Because I'll tell her how it is, and she gets mad. And she'll walk away and then call me the next day and be like, "Oh, God told me that I need to apologize to you."
No, I get it. I have
because-
women like that.
No,
If it
but you see,
worked.
here's the thing, and this is the foundation of the new relationship between my daughter and I. What was it, 3 years ago that I figured out that that I mothered her under a cloud.
No, this was like last year.
No, it wasn't last year. It wasn't
It
last
was
year.
not no 3 years ago, Mom.
It was
This
at least 2 years
No,
ago.
This is at
Well,
least
you know,
two.
we
This
forget.
is
We forget. All right. At
This was
least
like last year.
early part of last year. It seemed like
Like-
it's almost 2 years.
It wasn't 2 years, Mom. Come on.
All
I know
right.
you
Time
were
flies.
getting
Anyway,
up there.
no. Well, all I know is that she said something to me and I said something back to her.
We was arguing over, it was over my parenting and her parenting, and we got into a big blowout. I kicked her out the house, out of my apartment, because she thought she was going to stay and still argue with me. And then I nicely told her she had to leave,
Right.
and she left. But then we had a conversation over the phone, and because she didn't like the way I did certain things when my son was born.
Right.
She didn't agree with it. So we got into it, and I said, you took away what I felt like she took away that moment that I had with my son. And she was like, no, you really want to hear the story. You took it away from yourself when he got circumcised, because I asked her to be there for me. And she was just like, oh, he was crying and whining and this and that, and he got circumcised, but who was there? I was. So I didn't know that she thought that I was like, my decision making in that moment wasn't
Right.
the right one, and she took it that way.
Right.
So we got into a big blowout about it. I didn't talk to her for like almost 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month or something like that. And we finally got on the phone.
She said,
And-
Yeah.
Because she was hot, I was hot. She
no.
was more mad that I kicked her out my apartment.
Well, no. See, what had happened was
Because
Simmons-
what had happened was,
Yeah. Well,
she,
you know, wait a minute
she
now.
was mad that I kicked her out the apartment, but
No,
I did
yeah.
it in such a smooth way
Yeah,
that
well,
she
you
couldn't
can
be
leave
that
now.
mad.
You can leave,
I
she
was like,
said.
you can leave now.
Yeah.
And
But-
she wanted to say, you know what? She was almost, this is my house. She almost said that. And then she realized
that it was-
she was in my apartment.
you know what? Hey, kudos to you. I got to give kudos to you because I know that was hard for your daughter to put you out. But if you in her house, she the queen of that house. So I appreciate
she
that.
had to respect me at
Absolutely.
that
I
moment.
did.
She realized
I
that
know
I
I
was
did. Bring
an
it on.
adult.
I did. But see, what she fails to realize, in my mind, this is a young woman who never even babysat. She never even held a baby.
But he's 13 now.
No, wait a minute.
hey.
She never even held a baby before she had her child. So I'm saying to myself, I don't want to take this baby away from her. That's not. But I wanted to help her with the mothering as she went along.
Groomer.
Well, no, she took over. That was
No,
the
in
problem.
her mind,
She took over.
No, in her mind, I was taking over.
You know
But
you took over, Mom.
No, in your mind, I was taking over. But in my mind, I had asked you 3 times when that baby came home, bathe the baby. Oh, he's all right. They said it could be 2 weeks or 3 weeks. That's what the nurse said. I said, bathe the baby.
Yeah, but the
Bathed-
circumstances of the
bathed-
situation, when I asked you to wait for me,
I couldn't stand it.
she
I couldn't
just
take
went
it.
and did it.
She went to the store. I'm gonna tell you just how I did it.
I went to go get diapers for him.
She went to the
Diapers.
store, and he was the cutest still. Well, anyway, and I said, "Oh, she's gone. You need a bath, baby. I know you need a bath." So I proceeded to just sponge him off in a little plastic tub, and just as I was patting him dry, who comes in and sees me? well, you thought it was World War IV going on. I wasn't trying to take it from her. I kept asking her gently, Trama, when you gonna bathe the baby? Oh,
yeah, but the circumstances of that situation, I wasn't even living at home and couldn't really bathe him, and I asked you to wait for me. I'm like, okay, I don't want to hurt his neck. He's a brand new baby. I don't want to like accidentally drop him.
I kept asking you to bathe him.
But you know what?
I also asked for help. And that was the first and last time I asked her for help when it came down to my kids, because I felt like when I asked for help, she doesn't show me. She wasn't like in the mode of showing me because she felt like I was already an adult now. Now it was more of like, I'm asking for help because I sincerely wanted to learn how to do it myself. And it's like she was, let me just do it. I find myself, I do that with my own kids to the point where it's like, I have to let them be children and let them learn how to do things and not just get out the way, let me do it.
That was a learned behavior from my mom.
Yeah, and I hear you I'm just so excited that you're even open for this conversation. Like, I got to give it to her because she's acknowledging a lot of stuff, and a lot of parents right now.
That's more than a lot of parents do.
Yeah, they won't do it.
Absolutely.
Like you take average parents, like I got relatives my age, younger than me, and their mind is so shut. And the fact of the matter is, when it comes to a mama and her daughter, or any relation, but especially a mother and daughter, it goes through changes. You know, just like when they're a baby, you're dependent. And when they become a young adolescent, their needs change. And I think we're learning now we have to respond appropriately. But that communication thing, the words that we use, that's what we need to use to work through the challenges, right? Like,
it wasn't always words, though.
No, and hey, look,
and you see, I grew up with my mother and my grandmother. That was it. So there was no uncles, no brothers, no cousins. It was just these two women. And to be honest with you, I know this might sound a little crazy, but they stayed frustrated all the time and they battled with each other constantly. Yeah. And I was this bubbly little girl that was talented and wanted to do things. And it was like, that's nice. Go sit down somewhere. It was be seen
and not heard.
And she tried to make me like that.
No, I didn't try to make you like that. What I was trying to do, anytime you expressed something that you wanted, I wasn't going to let you hang out with just anybody. We lived in a white community. So I had to protect my daughter. And I would do it again differently, but I'd still have the same strength about having you be more aware of certain things and protecting you. But I would not change that. I would change how I did it. Because there were many situations that she is so full of love and so full of trust and so caring and so innocent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm really not that innocent, though.
Okay. And for a girl, it can, and so it was like, this is my princess. I can't have, this, and this.
But I grew up with 6 brothers.
I don't care.
So she didn't realize that if Scram Jones was gonna come up and because that's what she says. Like, she thinks that I wasn't this tough. She just saw the outside that I'm her little girl, but inside, I'll fight a grown man. I don't care, because that's how my brothers raised me while she was at work. They raised me to beat up people. I was just more on the softer side because I don't like using my fist or anything like that.
But you'll go to work if you have to.
If I gotta go to work,
you better know, girl.
I'll kick down somebody's door.
I didn't find this out about my child, my little princess, until later on.
Like after my only divorce that I've ever had.
But
there's stuff that I'm telling her about.
I had no clue.
That's like Courtney.
I had no clue because she was my princess. Period. I had tunnel vision.
I got to jump in and I got to do this because I've been learning. And I'm going to really go hard with you since you spiritual and you believe in God and Christ, right? The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof.
Of course.
So I hear you saying she's my child, my child. My kids had to tell me that they're not property. We're stewards. We're stewards.
Oh, I know that now.
No. Wait a minute. Let me put some Gina in it, okay?
Hey.
So what I'm saying is, your daughter, I get it. You gave birth. You're spiritual. You believe in you're a steward over her. You gave her life, but she's not property. My guys had to tell me this. They're not property for you to say she's my baby. I get the attachment, but at what point she's her own woman? But it's like my guys are their own men. And I get it because I struggle with it too. And they have to tell me, Mom, we ain't none of your property. And I have a hard time too, but we should be there. She's a young, beautiful woman, just like you are and was at her age. And at some point, when you got ready to do your thing and have babies and step out, I'm sure your mama might have been telling you stuff, but you was doing things like you wanted to do. At the bottom line, you was. Whether she gave you the room to do it, I don't know if you resented your mom. I'm just saying
I
we
did.
all get at a point where people just want to be themselves. And that dynamic, like I say, in this Western world, the way it's promoted, we're an individualistic society, right? And I know African Americans, they're about the culture. So there's a conflict right here because in the world we live, it's competitive, be independent, and all of this good stuff. But coming from family where we're from, so how do you maneuver? How do you navigate through those two dynamics?
Trust and communication.
Absolutely.
Because there was a time that I didn't trust my mother to tell her anything. And she'd be like, why you don't tell me? And I'm like, because I don't trust you. Like, I can't trust you to tell you something that I feel that is important to me or something that hurt me. And we went through that where you don't tell me anything because I can't talk to you.
Yeah. And two things I want to just double back a little bit. When I used to say to her, I'm your mother, I'm not your friend. The women that in the community that I saw, the white women, and I have to bring this to this point, they were always they say, oh, I want to be I'm my daughter's best friend and this and that and this and that. And I said, well, how can you be a 14-year-old's best friend and be her mother at the same time? And it just
I feel like that's your just generational gap.
It could have been.
Because
it could have been. But what I was saying to you is that I'm your parent, not your friend, but I'm a friendly parent. I didn't want to come off stoic like my mother did, but I did want to let her know I'm your mother no matter what.
But what I'm saying is, and I get it, not what does that mean though? I'm your mother.
It don't mean nothing.
No,
That means something,
because I get it. I'm hearing the dynamics and stuff like that, and I'm so grateful that you guys are working through it. But I guess out of all of this, okay, we're acknowledging we're damaged people, right? Because of our history, right? So naturally we have mental health issues, right? You made that. And we should reach out for help. And we should. There's the issue, or do I go to a white person, a black person? There's benefits on both of that. But what I'm saying is for us as beautiful black women, like what do we say to maybe the black women and young girls that's listening to us? What is it we want to give them out of sharing what we're sharing?
Don't be afraid to talk to your parents.
Right.
If you feel like you don't have the trust, then build the trust with them. Because that was my biggest thing. I didn't trust her. So it was like I just shut down for certain things. As growing up as a kid, I shut down a lot of stuff.
Did you ever try to talk to her though when you were younger?
We used to communicate, and then it was like my brother died, and that was my best friend. So it was like he wasn't my dad, he wasn't my mom, he was my best friend. So I would talk to him, and he would tell me things.
Understood.
So when he died, it was like a lot of it went with him.
Because he was the person.
He was my middle person between him and my mom.
Understood.
So it's like I confided in my aunt a lot. So I found someone that I could talk to, and she'd be like, oh, you always talk to your aunt. You never talk to me, because she doesn't judge me. She doesn't say, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. And that's where it came from. But at the end of it, she always told me, your mother is your mother. So you can talk to her, but it's going to take some time.
Right.
And she always told me, because she's like, I'm not your mom.
Right.
So I'm going to listen, but I'm not your mom.
Right.
So it's like you should, and her mother had passed away. So it was like, she always wanted to have a daughter, but at the end of the day, she always told me, respect your mom and, you know, talk to your mom. It wasn't my fault that she wasn't listening.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was gonna say that's important. It's important.
It's hard to talk to somebody and you want, and like, I value her opinions and everything, but sometimes I'm like, Ma, you can't always give me opinions. Sometimes I just want to vent.
Right.
Yeah.
Just listen.
And just talk.
And just talk.
To the point where like, you don't say nothing at all, Mom. Just don't say anything.
Right.
Yeah, I'm guilty. Guilty is charged.
You know what? You're a mom, and like you say, that African American, because there's some elements of just African American mothers and daughters. Like, we go through our ups and downs, but we love our kids. Ain't nothing we wouldn't do for them.
Right.
You know,
Right.
we've learned. It's kind of hard to unlearn some things and
Right.
unlearn and reprogram. So I gotta commend you and everybody that's listening. You know, the good thing about it is once you know to do better, you do better.
Right.
So I feel so good.
Yeah.
She's
and
trying.
and I'm so happy. I'm
Getting
just
on my
so happy.
Well,
for both of you all.
thank you. I realized a little bit ago that two things. One,
She's not
I
gonna put a
was
time on it. She
mothering.
ain't
Yeah,
gonna put a
because it
time
was
on
just recently.
Yeah. Well, you know, it happened when it happened. The light went on. The light
Right,
went on.
Right. That's what
As long
matters.
as it goes
It
on.
went
that's
on.
right.
It
Exactly.
went
Right.
on, and we've been having a wonderful relationship ever since.
Yeah.
I realized that I was trying to be a better mother than my mother was to me.
Yeah. And you
Yeah.
get lost in that.
She got so lost that she lost who I was as her
Right.
daughter.
And I got so lost trying to be a better mother than my mother was until I wasn't even mothering my daughter from my own person, my own self. And my motto, to thy own self be true, I looked in the mirror, I said, what are you doing? There's times that I want to say no. There's times that I don't want to go. There's times that, look, I don't want to be bothered with you. I would never do none of that. Any of that, because I got that from my mother all the time. I became super mom.
Right.
I even went
She
to
became
college.
helicopter mom. That's what she became.
I even went to but
going
listen,
in.
No,
wait a minute.
she helicopter mom. Yes. let's call my brother right now. He'll tell her she is a helicopter
What's his number?
mom.
Wait a minute. Listen. Let me tell you something. I realized that I wasn't even mothering my children from my own heart. I was mothering my children
that's deep.
to offset what my mother didn't do for me. And I said, I want to, the rest of my life, be able to mother my daughter from my heart.
Right.
And that's what we're doing.
And that is what you know what? Can I hold your hand? I just need to touch you for a minute. And I feel you. My emotion ain't shown, but I get it. Because really, to be the mother that we're supposed to be, like the love of a mother is herself.
Right.
And that sounds crazy, but when you know you really can't give of yourself if you don't know who you are.
Exactly.
And that's process. And so many of us, not just you, my beautiful mama, not just you, a lot of us have been broken. We've had things happen. You know, unfortunately, you have to live a little bit to get experience and make mistakes and stuff. And
Right.
and we hurt our kids. I've hurt my kids too.
Oh,
but
yeah.
just to hear you say you gave what you was given, right? And so now you get it. And you know this lady on the inside.
Oh.
And it's a beautiful thing that
It
you guys
is,
doing
it
what you got to
is.
do. Look how fine your mom is.
It
She's fine, ain't she,
is.
over here?
I mean,
love
she's
you.
available
I love
too,
you.
you know.
Thank you so
It
much
is.
for sharing that with us.
Can I have one of your tissues?
Oh, you didn't want that
You
tissue.
didn't
No,
want
she
her.
didn't want
She
that.
said she wasn't gonna grab
She didn't need no tissue.
That's all right. That's all right. Because you know what? I say to anybody listening, especially if you're over maybe 55 and you've got kids and you're not really that close to your daughter like you should, stop. Just stop it. You don't always have to be right. You don't always have to have the answer. You don't always
What?
have
You gotta
to
say it, girl.
You know, you
For
don't
real, say it
always,
again.
you don't always have to be on center stage when it comes down to your daughter.
Go ahead, boy. You do that wrong.
No, but really. But you know what put a cold stop on me? I said, if I don't stop this and start mothering my daughter from my heart, I'm gonna lose her. And that would have broken my heart and killed mine. It would have taken something and broken me. Worse than any man could have hurt my heart was to lose her.
Yeah.
Ladies, you want to know something? You want to know something that I learned through living in my own personal experiences with my mother. I'm learning.
Brace yourself, Effie.
No, it's not bad. It's not bad.
You remember that?
Lay off, Effie. Just take a
What was that
minute,
movie
man.
with Robin Williams? Miss Doubtfire.
Miss Doubtfire.
Yeah.
Right.
Brace yourself, Effie. Yeah.
Right. No. The one thing I'm learning though is because my mom used to say the same thing. I'm not your friend. I'm your mom. Right.
Yeah.
But I'm really learning that as a mother, you have to be your kid's friend.
You
with
have to.
boundaries.
Right.
With boundaries.
Right.
But you have to be your kid's
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah,
your
because
kids have to be able
If
to
they
trust
can't
you.
be your friend, like if you can't be my friend,
Show them what a friend is.
you gotta
Right.
show them the right
Agreed.
friends.
Absolutely.
Because then I caught myself though telling Josiah, like, I'm not your little friend. Then I was like, oh wait, hold on, let me scratch that.
Remix.
I'm like, we friends, but there's
like,
a line that you just don't cross
don't be
because I'm
talking
still
to
your
me like that.
mom.
You crazy.
Like, you're not gonna talk to me crazy.
Right.
And then he like saw like how some of his friends be like cursing his.
Have mercy.
Right.
Have
Listen,
mercy.
the first time I ever cursed at my mother, she snatched me up. And I was like 4.5 months pregnant. She snatched me up. Yeah, I'm telling it all. Listen, we want it raw.
She said, we talking
and
real
real.
raw. We
She
perfectly
But we don't want her
me
getting
up.
arrested for abuse. So, like,
No,
this is back in the day. This is-
just
No,
yoked me up.
no.
It was like the Bart Simpson. She just
No,
yoked
no,
me
you know
up.
what? I get it. Wait. I'm gonna tell you what happened real quickly because I know we're punch for time. I used to work with the girls at Mother Cabrini. I was one of the. I
know
don't know
Mother Cabrini.
Okay, and so they taught us how to take down a young child that was wilding out. There's certain things you do.
I wasn't
Oh,
wilding
you
out. I
know,
was not
yeah,
wilding
yeah,
out at all.
Yeah, of course you
Okay.
weren't training.
So
You said-
said one curse
they
word.
told you how to take down pregnant women?
Wait, listen. That was
Yo, she
Jesus
said,
that
wait,
helped me
hold up.
there. That
Hold
was
up real
Jesus
quick.
that helped me there. But what happened was I get that fat, and she
No,
used,
because we got into an argument over a boyfriend that I had. She didn't like him. I was trying to go hang out with him.
Listen.
And I'm like, I'm grown. I'm pregnant. I have my son already.
ooh, child.
I used her house phone because I didn't have a cell
Nah, I
phone
see
at
why
the
she yoked
time.
you up. I see why she yoked you up.
know,
But I wasn't
And I
talking
told
to her though. I was literally
she
like,
was carrying on, and
I was
said,
like,
"Look."
somebody come get me because she won't let me. I called her the bitch. I called her a bitch. I'll never call her that ever again. And before I even hung up the phone, she had already had my neck. And my little brother had to save me.
I think you had that coming, Trama, because now I gotta say we do it different. We're all people, but I hear a lot of non-color. Like I grew up with some my friends in the project. They were Puerto Rican and white. They'd be like, "Fuck you, Nan." This is how they talk to their mother and their grandmother.
Yeah.
And it was okay. They cursed at each other all the time. And if that's what the rules they had in place,
that's their business.
That's them. But
That's
like
their business.
in our families,
Yeah, how do you
like,
expect your kid to respect you, man?
Yeah,
Like,
you can't.
allow
You
them
Yeah,
to-
well, I
So-
sure enough never called her that again.
Yeah, no, I think in Black culture, you cross the line.
But
when
what
you do
happened?
that.
did.
But
I
when
did.
she crossed the line, and I.
She
Excuse
said I
me for
crossed the
cussing,
line.
y'all.
She
Y'all
said-
gonna bleep that out?
She said she
I didn't
crossed
say
the
that.
line. She said she
Listen,
crossed the line and I crossed the line back.
Listen, let me tell you something. I had used
She
those
ran from the living.
techniques.
She ran. I ain't never seen her run before either. She ran to choke me
honey.
Oh
out.
my God.
Listen,
She getting all into
Right,
it.
she having
Cause
flashbacks.
she had a whole
Yeah.
flashback.
She
But
turned around.
don't try to reenact it.
no, I'm not trying to reenact anything.
Right, she's
But
like-
what I'm trying to say is that as human beings, what we're taught, what we let go, and go, we're computers. And if the program is not called for, it won't surface. When she did that,
She thought I was a
it was
somebody
like
from
it
the
was
street.
one of those girls from Mother Cabrini that and called me out my
Right,
name,
right.
and I went right into mode, and I ripped
Right.
her around, and
You did that restraint quick,
Yeah,
huh? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
And then I,
Mom, relax.
no, listen, I was told I could be myself. Don't get me started now. Y'all asked me on here, so I'm gonna be myself.
I'm so glad you're here. I really am.
Listen, I was 19 when that happened, y'all. I survived. So.
Listen, God knew what I was in a 4-day revival.
What? No, he wasn't.
Yeah, before
still do
when you got to
revivals?
tell me when
I
you
always do it when she has a revival. I even told when I told her that I was pregnant, she came back from a 3-day revival.
Oh no, that's a perfect time. That's a perfect time.
I was
Did you bring her down? Did she bring you down?
Wait a minute. Let me show you what she did. I have to reenact this. She turned around. She said, I'm in my bedroom getting ready to sit down on my bed. She said, Mommy, I got something to tell you. And I said, oh.
I knew she was at the revival.
My behind was like levitated about that much off the bed before I said
man.
I could sit all the way down. I said,
Oh, my
I don't
goodness.
like the way she's saying
that.
this. Oh, Lord, not my child. Not
She didn't even know what I was going to tell her yet.
Yes, I did.
You
yes,
did know?
Yes, I did. I said, I know she ain't gonna tell me that she's pregnant. Because everywhere she went with the boyfriend, I sent my younger son.
Yeah, but did you ever have conversations about her and her boyfriend?
She had the conversations way too late after I already was
right.
starting.
I didn't know.
She didn't know that in the
and I did.
generation that I was in, we had already started in school.
Yeah, they be getting
So
it
she-
early.
Hey, Trama,
They getting
she
it
didn't-
early now.
She didn't
Yo.
know. I already knew
Trama.
about everything.
Ain't it bad when they know what you're about to say? Like you're like,
Yeah,
I
that
got
was
something to tell
bad.
you. Don't tell me you're pregnant. Damn.
I didn't even say anything.
You
I
didn't
didn't
say
say
it?
that.
You didn't say
Mine
it?
just levitated over my bed a little bit before I could sit down all the way.
You know what? And for the sake of time, and we probably need to have another conversation maybe next time because we just kind of scratched the surface. But I just want to know, like, I'm really so happy, like the two of you here. My mother's been gone.
Yeah.
And she never taught me things. It's a lot. I had to kind of wear it and figure it out on my own. And I went through anger and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I never got the chance to do what you two did. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm really happy that you're doing this. And I just think it's a beautiful thing. And yeah, so
Don't cry now.
I don't know. I'm not gonna cry, but
It's okay. I got my tissues.
I didn't ask Mary and I didn't ask Ty to chime in. They don't have to. But I just know the mother-daughter relationship it's the most significant. It sets the stage for a woman's development,
Yes.
how she's gonna have relations with men and women.
Yes.
I would even go as far as to say the mother-daughter relationship sets the precedent for society.
Yeah,
I
when you
agree.
think
I
of on
agree.
that
When you
level,
really
yeah.
stop and think
agree.
about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because the mother is the one, she's bringing forth the daughters, she's bringing forth the sons.
Absolutely.
And if she is out in left field someplace, everybody else is going to be out there too.
You guys got anything you want to add? We're going to wrap it, and I think we're going to continue this.
R.I.P. to the dead homies. No, I'm playing. I'm listening.
I think we're going to keep this going. I'm going to reach out to a couple of my friends, and they like license psychologists and all that stuff. They get, you know, but just because like a lot of women and African American, they don't want to go to therapy.
They don't. We're
terrified.
terrified. I was
So we'll bring it
terrified.
here. We'll bring it here. How
are
about
the
that?
therapy
I go every
because
week.
Yeah.
because we've
Well,
got
I
3
used to.
different generations here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't mind speaking for people that was born in the 40s, late 40s and 50s. Our mindset was different because segregation was just going out the door. Integration was coming in. Parents were running to be able to get equal opportunity, affirmative
rights.
actions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doors were open for us at that time that had never been open before.
Right.
So we, parents, were playing catch up.
Right.
But the one thing that they forgot
Was home.
was home.
Yeah. And
Was home. And they meant well. They meant well.
did. They did.
Because they were able now for community, affirmative action and equal rights and all that stuff. They could get their children more things, but they took them away from the
But they
families.
didn't know.
But they didn't know.
They didn't know.
They
It's
didn't
something
know.
that they didn't know. But
They
then
didn't
you
know.
got me, and I'm gonna tell you.
There you go.
Because
there you have it.
And that's what I want everyone to get out of it. Like, tell your parents, if they're still alive, your mothers, daughters and mothers, tell your mother how you feel, because it will go on forever. And then you'll be doing the same thing that your mother did to you
Love you, Mom.
to
I love you too.
your daughter. And you don't want the cycle to keep going. I told myself I'm not going to let the cycle keep going with my 2 daughters.
Right.
And they just don't leave me alone. But
Okay, we gotta wrap, guys. We gotta wrap up.
One little thing. If there's anybody out there who's a mother, it is not cardinal sin, terrible thing to do. Apologize.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Apologize. Be woman enough to apologize. If your adult daughter is coming to you or your adult child is coming to you, say, you hurt me, you missed it, you didn't listen to me, you did this, you did that. Out of love that you did it, apologize.
And that's deep. And I'm going to wrap by saying, because 3 things that Terri was talking about when she was talking about African-American women and their daughters, basically to wrap up a lot of things when we don't parent so well, it's because we didn't know. We wasn't equipped. We didn't have the tools.
Right.
So, just remember your youth growing up. You need to remember things to really understand them, but try to be forgiving, realizing that your mom may have done the best she could have done.
Yes.
And I'm not going to say forget what happened. You got to remember so you can make sure you don't repeat the same mistakes.
Right.
But forget in the sense of thinking, my mother did this and my mother did that.
Right.
Forget that thought process. And,
Right.
and to all ladies and whatever, I always say when it's with the self, we are in self, not isolated. We're in self in relation to other people.
Right.
Yes.
And that's how we go inside and get in touch with us. But let's take care of our emotional well-being. Let's use our word and communicate. Let's be very honest with ourselves. Let's do better and move forward. Let's be better mothers to our daughters.
Yeah.
Let's listen to our kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's not be stuck in I'm the mother. Let's have good relationships.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's going to take.
And see, those good relationships.
No, I get the last word.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. All right. No, go ahead.
I wasn't trying. No,
You just
what I mean.
She just messed up my beautiful.
She just messed up the ending, right? That was the end of the movie? Edit point. No, it's fine. It's fine. No, you good.
I love you so much.
No, we perfectly incomplete.
Go
It's
ahead,
cool.
go ahead, baby. Go ahead, do
All
your
right.
thing.
What I was going to say is that in doing what you just said, friendship comes.
Absolutely.
That's all I was
And
going to
even
say.
if it ain't friendship, even if I don't agree with you, at least if I take the time to listen to you
Right.
and hear you out and step out of my, even
Understanding.
if I say I don't like her values, okay, that's cool. Then I won't move in your circle. But at least I respect you enough to say I don't have to agree. If we do that, we can be civil.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it, Mom.
Yeah.
That's
All right, Alex, you got anything?
Love, peace, chicken grease. We out.
All right, wait, Kyle, you got anything? Mary ain't got nothing.
Wow.
Well, we appreciate y'all. We're
Yeah.
still perfecting our incompleteness, and we
Yes.
appreciate y'all being here with us. And we're not perfect, but we're trying to do this thing because we really care, and it's about becoming
a better self.
It is. It's
Yeah.
perfecting our incompleteness.
Yeah.
And it got to start with us. We can't fix the
Exactly.
whole world,
Right.
but we start right here. So love yourself. Talk to each other. Use your words.
Yep. Forgive your
Sisters,
parents,
stop
too.
tearing
Yeah.
each other down. We all can be great.
on the
All
same
right?
team.
Exactly.
We're on
Same
the same
team.
team. We
Yeah.
love y'all. God bless.
God bless.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Okay.
Seemed like it was so short, huh?
It was. It seemed like it was short.
I wanted to see you cry.
Okay, so we're going to cut it. We're going to do all over again. I didn't like that take. We're going to.
No, he's joking.
Alex. It's 7:30.